Well, hello. Catherine Langman here, and welcome back to today's episode of the Productpreneur Success podcast. So, we are into February now, and the kids are back at school after what felt like an interminable summer break. Not that I'm all that thrilled to return to all of the logistics, school lunches, uniforms, drop offs, pickups. It's always a bit mad, isn't it? Anyway, I guess at least the kids will be doing something productive and they won't be making a total mess of my kitchen every lunchtime. Anyway, this month, February, I am dedicating to the theme of building brand visibility and really growing your engaged audience. I think often for many of you, February is a little bit of a slower month in terms of revenue. And I mean, it also is, of course, the shortest month. So there is a little bit less time to make the kind of revenue that you might in the longer months. But it's also often one of those kind of in between months where not a whole lot is happening. It's sort of between seasons. Back to school or summer promos are sort of drawing to an end. We're not quite into new season launches or Easter promos and all of that jazz. And of course, there's always things that you can do to stimulate demand and generate sales. But when it comes to a month like this, it is also really, really important that you do work on the things that will help you enjoy greater results when the sales cycle swings again. And it's so tempting to not do this work in these times because there's that fear factor of what if it doesn't come back? Do I just need to hustle and run promos and discounts and stuff? And then, we miss this golden opportunity to be working on the stuff that's actually going to make the biggest difference down the track. And, at the end of the day, the bigger the size of your engaged audience, the more you're going to make, right? Like I always say, if people don't know your brand exists, if you're the world's best kept secret, they aren't going to buy from you. So to, I guess, kick off this month's theme, I'm going to be talking in this episode about 5 organic social media strategies that you can use to build brand awareness, build visibility, and really just attract the, new people into your audience without spending money on advertising. All of these strategies will also help you to enjoy better results when you do run paid ads alongside them. And the best part about these strategies is that they'll also help you to achieve much greater impact with your social media and enjoy a greater return on effort. Because let's face it, we all want to achieve more with the limited time that we have to spend on these things, right? I hope so. Now, these strategies will also all work at any stage of your business journey, whether you're a startup or you're a more mature business, and also for any, businesses of any size. So I think you'll all get something out of this episode. Now, before we do get started, I do want to remind you about my free 2023 e-commerce marketing playbook if you haven't already got a copy for yourself. I don't think it's any great secret that e-commerce marketing has really dramatically changed over the last year. We've noticed a huge change in consumer behavior and the way that customers consume content online. And the past year really saw a lot of brands closing their doors, which is super sad, or just being significantly less profitable, which is also not very cool, right? And what I distinctly noticed was that what used to work in the digital marketing world kind of stopped working, and what once worked before that is actually kind of making its way back, which is really cool. So in this resource, you will discover some of the strategies that we use to generate over $5 million in revenue for our clients over the last year. And I literally pull back the curtain in this e-commerce marketing playbook and reveal exactly how we did that and how you can guarantee your results as well. After pivoting and adjusting our strategies and doing lots of testing and all of that jazz, we were able to create some really fantastic results for ourselves as well as our clients. And despite everything that happened in 2022, it was a very tough year for everyone in business. We still finished the year strong, which is very exciting. So save yourself a whole lot of wasted time and money and go ahead and download that for free. You can go and steal all our secret strategies in this free playbook. And you can get yours at catherinelangman.com/ecom, so ECOM hyphen playbook for instant access today. And of course, I will link to that free resource in the podcast show notes page and just make that really easy for you as well. Alrighty, are you excited to dive into the episode? Let's dig in. Now, before we get to talk about actual social media strategies and what you can really do to get that kind of organic reach and grow your audience and all of that fantastic stuff, there are a couple of important things that you need to understand before you can really get started. And the first is that you need to be doing a little bit of research to identify which platforms your ideal customers are hanging out on, and in relation to what you sell. And this will be a little bit different depending on the demographics that your customers are, the majority of them would fall into. And, I guess understanding, the trends for platforms that different demographics, different age groups might spend their time on. And also understanding, the reason why somebody might buy from you. Because if you think about it, if it's something that's more of a business purchase, you might find that LinkedIn is a place that your audience is hanging out on at a relevant part of their life to regarding what you sell, and versus maybe in their private life, they might be hanging out on TikTok or Instagram. And then, there's going to be a little bit of overlap. You definitely are always selling to a human being, right? And so even if you are selling a product that lends itself to corporate customers, then LinkedIn will be one channel, but it shouldn't be the only channel that you use, because of course those human beings are also online and on social media outside of work hours. And so you want to kind of target them there as well. So really identifying which platforms your ideal customers hang out on is very, very important. Some brands really do exceptionally well organically on, a platform like Facebook versus Instagram, and other brands will be the other way around. It doesn't always line up like that when it comes to advertising, which is kind of weird, but for organic social media content, it's super important to understand. The next thing that you do need to understand as well is which platforms suit the stage of the buyer journey that you are creating content for. And again, you're likely to be communicating with your audience across multiple platforms, at peak at least 2. If you're a small business owner and it's just you doing all of this, then definitely don't try and go for all of them, because you'll tie yourself in knots and, just spend half your life creating content for social media. And that's no way to live your life, or and probably really is a bit of a waste of time in business as well. So you just need to kind of pick your battles, I guess is what I'm saying here. But you also do need to understand that we need to spend some of our marketing time and effort building brand awareness, which is what this episode is about. And some of our, marketing efforts will be about actually closing the sale. And people are likely to be on different platforms and respond to different kind of content on those different platforms, if that makes sense. So oftentimes a platform like TikTok works super well for the awareness stage, and maybe less well for actually driving those sales conversions. They might be more likely to respond to that kind of marketing or advertising on Instagram or Facebook. So really understanding where they're hanging out in relation to what you are promoting and selling, and also understanding which platforms suit which stage of the buyer journey for your audience. Next, it's also really important to understand how these social media platforms work with, and I'm particularly talking about the algorithms and these systems that we're trying to take advantage of. We need to understand how they operate so that we can kind of play their game for our own benefit, right? Now, social media platforms do enjoy billions of users every day, active users, so it is an absolute no-brainer that we want to tap into them and get in front of our potential customers that are hanging out on these platforms. Total no-brainer, right? Like anytime we are trying to launch or grow a business or a brand, we need to be able to get in front of our potential customers, right? So that's a no-brainer. But we need to also understand we don't own our audiences on these platforms. You know, the platforms themselves own the audience. And what I mean by that is that these platforms can and do make significant changes and small changes to their platforms and to the algorithms and to the functionality and to the rules all the time. We don't have any say over any of that. And if we, even if we are spending a whole lot of time and money growing our page followers, that doesn't matter. You know, if we've spent a ton of money on advertising to grow a really busy, thriving page that's got lots of followers, we still don't own that audience. Okay. So it is, I guess what I'm saying here, it is in our interests to engage with them there and to take advantage of these platforms for the purposes of building an audience, building their desire for our brand and our products, establishing trust with them as well. But then we need to be able to encourage them to head to our store, obviously to buy from us, but at least to subscribe to our email database. Now, this episode is not going to be about growing that email list or growing that database of contacts. I just want to mention here that that is how you actually start to own your own audience, right? So that is an important part of the way things work. But when it comes to our organic social media marketing and the content and the way we're using these platforms, we just need to understand the competing priorities of those platforms. You know, they are there, they're businesses, they want to make money, right? And the vast majority of their money comes from the advertisers, you and me, who are spending money on the platform. And, you know, for advertisers to want to keep spending money on the platforms, we need to get a good return on investment, you know? So in order for that to work for us, we need, as well as the platforms, need users to want to spend time on the platforms, okay? Because why on earth would we spend money to advertise on a platform where no users hang out because it's all ads? That's just going to be a really poor user experience, okay? So users will only spend time on these platforms if there is value for them in doing so. And that typically means great engaging content that is of interest to them, whether that's from their friends or other people they follow or brands that they're interested in. And when I'm talking about really great high value content, I don't mean content that's been produced like, you know, to the standard of a TV commercial. That's actually probably going to bomb for you, because on social media, you know, we need to create content that looks like it belongs on the platform, which is the social platform, right? So anyway, that's beside the point. To succeed as a business or brand on these social media platforms, you do kind of need to be a little bit of a good citizen and play the game in order to train these algorithms in your favor. And this means you need the right content strategy, you need the right targeting strategy, and you need the right strategy to kind of hand off from those socials to your online store and your own database. So this episode, of course, is about getting, you know, the right content and how to get it in front of the right audiences without spending money on advertising. So let's talk about these 5 strategies. And the first is that you need to be creating content that is favored by platform algorithms. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. I've certainly talked about it in a workshop not that long ago. And you can probably all guess what kind of content is currently the flavor currently being favored. And when I say favored by platform algorithms, I'm talking about, you know, the algorithms really are sharing this content out to a much broader audience without, you know, you spending money on ads, and giving you a much greater reach. So by that, you know, a greater reach means you've got more eyeballs on the content for free, right? So the kind of content right now that is still, you know, the most favored is your short video content. And, you know, I think that this really came into favor when TikTok just came storming into the market and really, really took off like a bat out of hell, I suppose. And of course, then, you know, Meta / Instagram, Facebook, they start to follow suit. And so it is that kind of short reel content on those platforms as well that's just getting such enormous reach. And this is a bit of a tough one for a lot of small business owners to execute on. And this is something that I've observed with a lot of our clients, a lot of our audience. And, it's not something that I find the simplest either. I think a lot of people who start e-commerce businesses or just online businesses generally are often introverts like I am, and getting in front of the video or just creating video content full stop, there's a little bit of a block there for a lot of people, and it becomes this massive big task that feels like a mountain that's insurmountable, and it really shouldn't be. And in fact, I think when you are building a product brand, you don't need to be in front of the camera most of the time. I mean, occasionally it can be really helpful at establishing connection with your audience if you do, but you don't need to start there. But you do kind of need to play the game and to create this sort of content that people are consuming right now and that is getting favored by these algorithms. And I will talk a little bit more later on in the episode about why it is super important for us to be, favoring the kind of content that the algorithms are loving on, because there's so many extra benefits for that outside of your organic reach. So the second strategy that I want to talk about here is, collaborations. And this is not a new one. This has been around for some time. But here's the reason why you want to occasionally do this. This could be collaborating with another brand. A lot of my clients do that with fantastic success. And when you're doing that, you need to make sure you're picking a brand that shares the same target audience with you, the same ideal customer with you, but they're not in competition with you. Of course, you could also work with influencers whose audience overlaps with your ideal customer. But the reason we want to do this is because it's a warm introduction. The other brand or the personality is introducing your brand, to their audience. And so that's a warm introduction to that audience. That always comes with a higher level of trust and a greater level of credibility than a cold advertisement. So if you look at research, it will tell you that word of mouth marketing has the highest trust rating of any kind of marketing or advertising. And so this is why it can work so well when you have that kind of a collaboration. And, because it's a warm introduction, you are more likely to see those sales come through in a much shorter time frame. Now, who should you collaborate with? So I like to kind of think about things in terms of where would your customers go before they might come and shop with you or shop for the kind of product that you're selling. Where else would they be shopping kind of at the same time as they're shopping for your kind of product or brand? And where might they go afterwards? So I remember thinking about this when I still had my modern cloth nappy brand. And, when a customer was thinking about purchasing a modern cloth nappy, beforehand, they've probably been to an obstetrician or something along those lines. They would be at the same time, they're probably looking at purchasing something like a baby carrier, or maybe some nursery furniture or a pram, or all of that kind of stuff, and baby clothes, all of that jazz. And then afterwards, beforehand, or at the same time, they're probably also looking at hospitals or midwives, or afterwards, they're probably looking at things like feeding, whether it's looking for help with breastfeeding, or looking into other alternatives, or looking for help like pumps and all of that kind of stuff. Gosh, it's been a few years since I had to think about these things. And then afterwards, that oftentimes, parents are going down to one income versus two incomes after they've had a baby. So they're probably going to look at things that help with budgeting, or, whether it's like going to Enyo to get reusable cleaning items, similar sorts of values around eco-friendly, but also budget-friendly sort of things. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of how you could approach what kind of brands or products that you should look to collaborate with. The other way you can do it is to look at retail stockists. You know, if you have stockists, or there are stockists that retail the sort of product you sell, what else are they selling? You know, what are customers going there to buy together? So anyway, trying to find, and similar with influencers, if you want to go down that track, you really got to look at, you know, who has your ideal audience at the time that they might be wanting to buy the sort of products that you sell, and looking for those super engaged audiences there. All right, the third strategy I want to talk about is running a giveaway on social media. And I want to talk about how you should do this in a way that's actually going to help you sell more products long term. Because I see so many small business owners who their idea of running a giveaway is on their own Instagram page, and it's literally just, you know, tag a friend or comment below, or, you know, something along those lines. And there's zero other strategy around that. And it's just so short-sighted. You know, at the end of the day, when you do it that way, you're pretty much just talking to the people who already know you. That's not going to help you grow your audience at all. Or it might a tiny bit if you're asking people to tag their mates. But secondly, you know, it kind of lacks the strategy for how you're going to follow up with them later and try and get them to buy from you. It's not enough to just assume that because they're now, you know, potentially following your page, or at least know about your page, that they're going to see your content and buy from you. That's a very, you know, risky strategy to assume that that's going to work out. Now, I want to tell you about a strategy that was introduced to me by Lou Duggan from Cake to the Rescue. That's Cake to the number 2, not the word 2. Cake to the Rescue, super smart lady. And she's been on the podcast in the past, actually. Anyway, she will occasionally run a giveaway in a Facebook group that's not her own. And of course, if you do that, you 100% need to make sure that, you know, the rules of the group allow you to do that, and that you ask for permission. I mean, it's only polite to do that, right? And it also needs to be a group where your ideal audience also hangs out, right? That should go without saying. Now, what can be a super clever way of doing it? So with Lou, her business, her brand are these fantastic cake kits. They're really, really fun. So it's for people who aren't typically your, you know, baking gurus, but they want to make a homemade cake that looks amazing, that their kid's going to love for their birthday. And she's got all these fantastic designs on her website. And so that's what she sells. Anyway, so the way that works so incredibly well to not just build your awareness, not just build that engaged audience and the visibility for your brand, which is what I'm talking about in this episode, but it also lends itself to that audience kind of falling in love with the product, so that the desire for the product is pretty high. So that's going to increase the chance that they will want to buy from you, even if they don't win. Secondly, it's also run in a way that enables you to follow up with them afterwards. Okay. And that is incredibly important. You need to have the follow-up sales process there, so that you can actually make the whole project worthwhile in terms of growing your audience and making some money. All right. So what you do is, obviously it's a giveaway. So you're going to be giving away something as part of the promotion. And incidentally, it will usually work best if you're giving away more than one thing. So more, you know, people have a higher chance of winning, right? So maybe 5 things. And what Lou would do is she would say, go to my website, here's the link, have a look at all of the cake kits, choose which one that you love the most and that you would love to win, and then come back and comment below to tell me which one you want to win and why. And to keep the giveaway post really at the top of the feed in the group, and to increase the chance of the post being shared out via the notifications to all the group members, you need to really make sure that you are on it and you are replying to people the minute that they are commenting, so that they're, just the engagement on the post is really high. So that's going to keep it at the top of the group feed, and it's also going to increase the chances that Facebook will notify all the group members. All right. And, I guess when she was using this strategy first, there was no at everyone tag that you can use in a group. I don't think that's a fabulous thing to use myself. I think most people would find that kind of annoying. However, in a giveaway scenario, it might be something that you would test out if you have permission to do so. Now, why is this going to give you a better chance of being able to follow up and sell to people? Now, first of all, the idea of getting them over to your website to really look through your range and choose the thing that they want to win the most is, you want them to fall in love with the thing, right? We want to build desire for your products and for your brand, so that they're going to want to buy it even if they don't win it. So they've had a really good look. They have hopefully, they really want this thing, right? And that way, if they don't win, they're hopefully going to buy it. Now, secondly, because they've been on your website, you have been tracking them with your pixel. Now, I know that pixel data is not as accurate as it used to be, but it's still useful. So this is going to be one way that you are then going to be able to follow up with them, because you can, use that pixel data to show ads to that audience. But secondly, when they are on your website, you want to make sure that you have a list building opportunity. So on Lou's website, she has a pop-up and a few opportunities to subscribe to her list, and there are, incentives to join the list and all of that jazz. So, of course, not 100% of these competition entrants will sign up, but a lot of them will, because there's value for them to do so. And so, of course, that enables you to follow up on email, and you guys all know that I am a massive fan of that. So running a giveaway is the third strategy. I hope you love that one. Fourth one is to create your own Facebook group. Now, when you do this kind of a strategy, there needs to be value in it for the audience besides just getting, some deals. I don't think anyone is going to be super proactive at engaging in a Facebook group where it's all about just buy from me on sale. That's just, it's kind of spammy, and it's not very fun, not very cool. And obviously you can occasionally slip those things in, right? However, so there's two brands I want you to go and check out that do an amazing job of creating a community in a group that also ultimately helps them to sell more product. One is Lou from Cake to the Rescue. So she has a support group for her brand, for her business. And another one is Smoothie Bombs. And both of them just do this amazing job at building this really, really highly engaged community. And there's a lot of value for the audience, for the potential customers to get from these groups without necessarily having bought the product yet. But of course, it also has all of the raving fan customers in there as well. And so that ends up being a really helpful kind of, again, warm referral, warm recommendation to potential customers to go on and buy from you. Now, how can you grow your own Facebook group without spending money on ads? The first thing that I would be doing is emailing everyone you have subscribed on your email list and inviting them to join. You'd need to be able to explain what's the value in being in this community. And, but, it's a free community. So, the chances are fairly high that you're going to get people that way. And then another way that works really, really well, and I know that that Lou's done this well in the past. I'm pretty sure maybe Smoothie Bombs has as well. But running like a little bit of a giveaway in there to the group members as an incentive to refer a friend and get, as many of their friends to join the group as possible. So it's, that's a free way to tap into your customers' personal network. And when you think about it, like your customers' personal network, they're probably full of people who have a pretty high chance of being your ideal customer as well. So that can be super effective. All right, the fifth strategy that I want to talk about briefly here is the setting up a brand rep program. And again, I would say this is something that a lot of people resist because they think it's going to be an enormous project. They feel a little bit nervous or tentative about asking people to participate, or just don't know how to go about it. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons. If you want resources or the how to, hit me up. I've got lots of helpful content to train you on that. However, why would you do it? So brand reps are not influencers. Okay, so when you're trying to get get a brand rep program up, you're literally looking for people who represent your ideal customer and who create their kind of content style is it looks like it kind of belongs to your brand look and feel, right? So it's got to be, it needs to look like it is still kind of part of your brand, you can't have, it would look really jarring for a potential customer to come to your Instagram feed and have a look and see something that, maybe 90% of the content looks like it's on brand and then one that looks like it belongs on Mars. So we need to try and find people who look like your ideal customers. And number one tip here, actually go to your best customers and ask them. But, like I said, their content style looks like it fits your brand. So we're not looking for a massive audience, massive engaged audience like you might be for an influencer. So an influencer is, a different scenario. That's more like a paid PR type program. Brand reps is about getting the right kind of content, but it's also, I guess you can kind of call them micro influencers. I mean, obviously somebody who is an expert in this area can probably correct me on the right terminology there. Feel free to do so. And however, it's about getting the right kind of content that your potential customers will really resonate with, because it represents what they're experiencing in their personal life, or maybe a slightly aspirational version of that. And, in order to get reach here and to really get in front of the right sort of audiences, there's two things you need to bear in mind. Number one, you want these brand reps to be creating the kind of content that is in favor. Like I was saying before, right now it's the short video type content, because that content is going to be favored and distributed more widely based on the algorithm, right? But secondly, you want them to share it using the branded content functionality when they're uploading it. So that way it goes on their feed as well as on your feed, and you'll be able to take advantage of that extra audience size, the extra visibility, the extra reach. One small tip that I will say, if you also want to use that kind of content for your advertising, which I would highly recommend, you will need to get them to send it to you or provide it to you some way, shape or form without any kind of Reels music, because often that kind of music is copyright and you can't use it in ads. So hopefully that all makes sense, and hopefully you can see how really being able to create the right content and play the game with these algorithms and have a few different irons in the fire, and maybe going through cycles throughout the year where you are focusing on visibility. Maybe other times you're focusing on really closing as many sales as possible. Obviously we always want to be selling, but at times building visibility is a really, really important piece of the puzzle. So hopefully you can see how it all ties in together there and feel a little bit motivated to start, spending a little bit more concerted effort on the right strategies here. And, as a result of these efforts, you will successfully train the platform algorithms on who your right audience is. And this really makes it so much easier then for the platforms to find your audience when it comes to running paid ads on the platform as well. So we always see that when clients that we run ads for, or that in our coaching programs with their advertising, if they're also doing that kind of organic effort, the right organic efforts, they get so much faster and more profitable results with their paid ads. And who doesn't want that, right? Now, On that note, I guess that does bring me to the end of today's episode. So I really hope that you've enjoyed it. Hope that you feeling a little bit inspired or motivated to really nail that social media strategy so that you can increase your brand awareness and really grow your engaged audience in 2023 so that you can make more money and more profits at the end of the day as well. As always, you have 3 choices now. Figure it out via trial and error, learn from someone else who already knows how to do it, or outsource it. And each of those is, of course, a valid choice and take varying lengths of time to see the results. So if you'd like to speed that process of learning up or implementing and getting the results faster, please reach out to me because there are a variety of ways that I can help you depending on what stage of business that you are at. This is what I do and love to do every single day. Whether you're looking for coaching to help you learn and implement, or if you're looking for a team of experts to outsource to, just head over to catherinelangman.com/work-with-me to find out about working with me and my team. Of course, I'll include that link on the show notes page as well. That is it for today's episode, though, and I really hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, I'd be forever grateful if you'd share it with 1 or 2 of your business besties, especially if you know that they are looking to grow their brand this year. Super easy to share. Just click on the icon next to the podcast on whichever platform you're listening to it on, copy the share link, and then just message it to your friends. But now, have a fabulous week, and I will look forward to being on the show with you again next week. Bye for now.